Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Thank you for clicking on my video, and welcome to another month and another tier list for everything I watched in the month of July of 2024. Alright, so I have seen 20 films / short films in the month of July for the year of 2024. I have them all in front of me on a tier list, and without further ado, we are going to go ahead and put these on their tiers, and at the end, like I've been doing, give you a final ranking for my month for what I have watched. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the recording is going. We have the tier list up. And it looks like the first one we have here is the Royal Tenenbaums. And if you know me, and if you've been watching my channel, you know that Wes Anderson has been a big part of my channel as of lately. I have fallen in love with his movies and his directing style, and I'm trying to watch all of his films. So here, this month, I watched Royal Tenenbaums. And I'm looking at this film, and I remember really liking it when I watched it. I still really like it now. But I feel like Wes Anderson films have to be watched like twice in order to really love them. I remember when I first watched Rushmore, I thought it was just an average film, and now it's one of my favorite Anderson movies. So, with that being said, I did really enjoy this one, but for the time being, we're going to go ahead and put it on the good tier. But just know that it's meant to go between good and amazing. It's somewhere in there. Alright, next up we have The Challengers, and this is the new movie with Zendaya as a star, and it's a brand new tennis, sports, love story film. It's cool, it's fine. The music in it is very weird to me. I don't have anything negative to say about this film, but I also don't have anything really positive to say. For me, it just kind of came and went, and it was very forgettable, but it wasn't bad. And that's why it's going to go on the average solid film tier list for me. Next up we have The Ratcatcher, and this is the first of 3 Wes Anderson shorts I watched this month on Netflix. And for this one, like I said, I love Wes Anderson. Nothing that he puts out, in my opinion, has been bad. But this one really didn't do anything for me. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on the it's alright tier. And next up we have Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. This is my first time watching this film. I know it has taken me a long time to get to it. I've only seen the first 2 and Freddy vs. Jason, so I'm fairly new to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And I've always heard from people that this is either the best film or the most fun film in the franchise. And while I agree that it is the most fun out of the ones that I've seen, I do not agree that it's the best. Nothing really compares to the original Nightmare. I think that's a great horror film. One of the best horror films I've ever seen. And so for this one, it's going to go onto that average solid tier. I know it's probably blasphemy for any Nightmare fans watching this video, but I just can't quite put it on that good tier. Maybe after a couple more rewatches, it'll finally click with me. Next up, we have Twisters. I'm just going to go ahead and do them both at the same time because I watched Twister and Twisters 2 days apart. I watched Twister at home and then went to the theaters to see the new one, and I thought they were both very fun films. It was my first time watching both these movies, so, you know, I don't have the nostalgia for Twister. I'm more for the time period of Twisters. So take all of that with a grain of salt, but I'm going to go ahead and place both these on the good tier for now. Next up, the title of that is quite funny. It's Horny Teenagers Must Die. This is one that I wasn't like super excited to watch or that I was looking forward to watch, but me and my girlfriend and her brother and his girlfriend were deciding to do a fun little drinking game one night where we would pick a movie on Tubi, like a shitty horror movie, and we would pick who dies first, who gets killed first, and if you get the guy right, you drink. If you get the guy right, you don't drink. If you get it wrong, you drink. And it was a fun game. But the movie, on the other hand, was not so fun. It's got to go in one of the bottom 2 tiers. I feel like it does deserve that awful tier. But just because of the fun I had with the game, which I know if you guys are watching without playing that game, it won't be as fun. I'm going to put on bad. But just know that without the game and without the experience I had watching it, it probably ends up on that awful tier. Next up, we have Inside Out 2. And this film, it was amazing, I won't lie. I think both these Inside Out movies are great, top-tier films. I think Pixar really has something going for them with this one, and I'm hoping the third one comes out soon. They played a little hint of that nostalgia factor. I'm hoping to see more emotions that relate to my current state in life. I think that's where it's headed, and I'll be super excited to see that. I'll be out there in the theaters. And like I said, these are two great films, and I think this franchise overall is just outstanding. Next up, we have Knocked Up, and Knocked Up is one of my favorite comedies. That whole Judd Apatow era of comedies is perfect to me. That is what I grew up watching, and those are my favorites. That run from like 2003, 2010 of comedies is some of the best stuff you'll ever see. In my opinion, it's the funniest movies ever were, and I don't think we can ever get back to that. But for Knocked Up, let's go ahead and put it in that good tier list. Like I said, I've always loved those comedies. Knocked Up was never one of my favorites, but I always did enjoy it. And I'm going to skip ahead one here because I see one comedy from that same era, and that is Wedding Crashers. And now Wedding Crashers is one of my favorite comedies from that era. It's one of my favorite movies. I can't quite put on that perfect tier because, you know, it's just a dumb, fun comedy. It's all it ever will be. But if you're going to watch a dumb, fun comedy, you got to put one on from that era. And you got to put one on with Vince Vaughn in it because he is so funny in everything he's in. He's one of the funniest actors, comedic actors that I know and that I watch. And this movie is going into that amazing tier. Next up, we have Maxine. And this was my most anticipated movie for like 3 years now. I loved X, I really enjoyed Pearl, and I was super pumped for this one. Sadly for me, this movie just didn't live up to the other two. And I think after watching it, I would have put it in the good tier. But now sitting on it for a couple weeks, it might fall to that average solid film tier list. And I'm going to put it there for now, even though it kind of pains me to do that. Next up, we have another Wes Anderson short. And in my opinion, this is the best one of those 3 short films that he put out. And this is The Swan. Yes, it's his best film of these short films, but when it comes to Wes Anderson and what we expect from him, I really don't think these short films live up to what he can do. I'm going to throw this in an average solid, and to spare the suspense, I'm going to go ahead and put Poison in that same tier. While Swan could find itself on the good tier if I, come back to it and rewatch and rethink about it, it is the best of these films. I just don't think any of them really deserve that good tier as of right now. Alright, next up we have Longlegs, and this is a movie that does deserve that good tier. The things I was hearing about it and my expectations, I was thinking it would land in that amazing, possibly even that perfect tier with how people were talking about this movie after they watched it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought it was a good time. I thought it did its job as a horror movie, and I do see those comparisons to Silence of the Lambs, where Silence of the Lambs would be on the perfect tier if it was on this tier list. Longlegs doesn't quite hit that. I think my biggest problem with it is that it's trying to be this super scary, super fresh film, and while it does exceed that at sometimes, you still get a lot of Nick Cage silliness in here that you have to laugh at, and you get other things that really kind of hold it down from that top tier status. Next up we have Gladiator, and this is a first time watch for me, which is crazy, but this movie came out in the year I was born, 2000, and I really did love this movie. It got me excited to watch Gladiator 2 in theaters this year when it comes out. This is a movie that I can see myself rewatching multiple times in the future. I thought it was that good, and it's going on that amazing tier list. Maybe if I grew up with it, it would be on the perfect because it would have that nostalgia for it, or that that feel of growing up with this movie and rewatching it many times over the years. But for now, it's going on amazing. Next up, we have Godzilla vs. Gigan. And this is my continued effort to watch all of the Godzilla Toho movies. I am working my way through it. I'm still in that very first Showa era, but I'm hoping to move on with it as we go. And for this one, like most Godzilla films, I'm a fan of these movies at heart, but if I have to be honest and give them a rating, it's fun, but it's dumb, and it's going to go on that it's alright tier. Next up, we have A Quiet Place Day One. This one shocked me for sure. I really do love this Quiet Place franchise, but when you start taking your franchise into spin-offs and into other routes, like you saw with like Conjuring and Annabelle and other things you see, it starts to die and it starts to fade. But honestly, this might be one of the best Quiet Place films there is. I might actually put it above Quiet Place Part 2. That's how much I enjoyed it, and that's how much I was shocked by how much I liked it. It's going on that good tier. And next up is Good Will Hunting. And this, along with Pulp Fiction, are what I consider to be my two favorite films of all time. That's all I can say for now. I'm going to do a review on this movie at some point in my channel, probably later on when, you know, I'm more established and everything, because I really want to hold on to this movie. I love it that much, and as you can tell by what I'm saying, it's going in that perfect tier. Next up, we have Abigail, and this is another surprise for me. I know it came out earlier in the year, and I'm a little bit late to coming around to watching it, but I thought it was super fun. I thought it was fresh. I thought it was a fun little adventure, and I like horror movies that are more fun and, you know, just lively and easy to watch than these, like, demonic possession movies. Those aren't my thing. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I like Friday the 13th. I like Evil Dead. Those are my kind of movies, and this one really fit that vibe. It's going in the good tier for me. Alright, and then finally, last but definitely not least, is Deadpool and Wolverine. And this was one of the best movies of the year. This might be my most favorite movie of the year for new 2024 releases as of now. And it's going in that amazing tier. Alright, so now, like I said, how we always end this video, we're going to go ahead and rank these on their tiers. And we're going to go ahead and start with the it's alright tier. And I'm going to go ahead and put Godzilla vs. Gigan over the Ratcatcher. I have more fun with these Godzilla movies than I do with these shorts from Wes Anderson. And that's really what matters when I'm talking about how to rank these movies. Is what is fun to me and what I'd rather rewatch. Next up, you got a different mix of movies here on this average solid film tier list. Looking at it, my favorite's probably Maxine. And then, of the movies, I think Challenger is my least favorite on this tier list. And, let's do this. So at the bottom of the tier, we're going to have Poison, followed by Challengers, followed by The Swan, with Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors coming up next. And at the top of this tier, we have Maxine. Now we are at the good tier, and like I said, there's a few movies here that could actually jump up to that amazing tier, and I'm going to go ahead and put those towards the front now. Of these films, if any of them were to hop up to that amazing tier list, it would be Royal Tenenbaums or Knocked Up, for sure. I think that this good tier is looking good how it stands. Next, we got the amazing tier, and right off the bat, I'm going to tell you my favorite movie from this tier is Wedding Crashers. It's an all-time classic for me. Next up, I'm in between Gladiator and Deadpool and Wolverine. I really enjoyed both of these. Honestly, I think Gladiator is a better made movie, and I'm going to put it above Deadpool and Wolverine for now. But like I said, I'm always rewatching movies and always watching movies, always changing my opinion, so this tier list could always change. But as it stands right now, this is my ranking of the movies that I have watched in July of 2024, with my least favorite being Horny Teenagers Must Die, shocker, and my favorite being Good Will Hunting, which is probably my favorite movie of all time, right there next to Pulp Fiction. Thank you all so much for watching my video, and I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, and comment down below with what you watched in the month of July. I want to know what your favorites were, what your least favorites were, and what you recommend that I watch coming up for these next few videos. Let me know what you thought of the movies that I watch, if you've seen any of them, and your thoughts on them. Thank you all so much again for watching, and have a great day.